Welcome to the She Heals the World talk show with Dr. S, the place to hear stories of heart-driven women creatively living free. Our episodes highlight conversations and insights that support the values of self-care, creative and personal freedom, slower living, happiness, health, and wellness to help you live your absolute best life. To be a part of the movement and join the conversation, step inside our free Facebook group, She Heals the World, and say hello. It brings me great joy to bring you our next episode.
Welcome to the She Heals the World talk show today. So today we are talking all about travel, and I have my travel entrepreneur and dear colleague, Archana, who's here to talk to us all about Traveling India. She is the lead content creator behind the site Travel See Right, and I'm so glad that she made herself available to share some tips with us, as many of us are not traveling during this time. Archana, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I'm overwhelmed by the community that you have. I've been listening to your interviews and you are doing a phenomenal job, I must say. I am really grateful to be your guest tonight.
Yes, I'm super happy to have you. So tell us, how did you get started with your work?
Okay, I would say there were three key milestones in my life which actually got me into the field where I am currently. So I come from an army background. So my dad was in army. So in India, what happens is when you are in armed forces, every 3 years you are required to change your base. You keep traveling around the country. So you at 1 year you could be in the jungles, in the forest. The other year you could be on the beaches or the remotest destinations possible. So because of that, I had travel in my genes, I would say. And secondly, then what happened? I've always been a hostel kid. So since my high school, I've been living out of hostel. So travel came naturally to me. However, the main turning point that changed my life, from where a hobby or an interest kind of converted itself into a career, there were two important things that happened. So one was like very Bollywood movie kind of a stuff which happened to me. So this happened in year 2014. So there's a place called Ladakh in India, which is like the uppermost part of Himalayas. It's called the coldest desert in the world, and it's also called as the third pole of the universe, of the world. So that place is on bucket list of a lot of people, and even for me, I had been forever wanting to go to that place. And after years of planning, canceling, in 2014 I finally decided to go, and everything was kind of planned. The money was given to the travel agent, all the shopping was done, everything was in place, the holidays were taken. I was in a full-time job at that time, and I was in advertising and marketing, and there you don't have a time schedule, you work 24/7. So anyways, so 2014 August, I'm supposed to go with a group of 7 people, and I'm at a place called Manali. That's a hill station up north. And from there, we were supposed to go with this group. What happens? It's raining cats and dogs. It's like total filmy situation out there, and I'm unable to reach out to the guy who's my agent. After a lot of difficulty, I finally reach out to him. And he tells me, hey, you know what? The trip is called off. And I said, what? You're telling me I have to leave in few hours? Like I'm already midway to go to this destination. Everything is, kind of planned. And he says, no, what has happened is the group which was supposed to go with you, that group has backed off. So it's not financially viable for me to organize such a big trip for one person. So you've got an option. You've got two options. One is you join me for a shorter trip, which was going for like 2-3 days, or you're completely on your own. And I was like, really? You're giving me these two options? They are no options for me as such. and that too in the middle of a night. So I thought about it a lot, and I said, dude, I have told the whole world that I'm going to this place,
Yeah.
you don't get so many holidays in an year. So what should I do? So that night I decided, come what may happen, I'm going on this trip. And the funny thing which happened was, usually I research a bit about my destinations. For this particular trip, because I had paid the travel agent and everything was kind of in my mind, was sorted. I did not I did not make an effort to do any kind of a background research. And then I said, okay, doesn't matter what worse can happen. Let me just go on this trip. So I went there, and then that experience, that unpleasant travel surprise became the best thing of my life, because it changed my life forever.
Mm.
So the next 14 days, the next 2 to 3 weeks that I spent in Ladakh, they became life changing moments for me, because that time I realized that people are inherently very good. They would rather help you than hurt you.
Yeah.
And what happened every day when I was looking at a new place, there was something very beautiful in the landscape. So there was one kind of beauty which was of the place, which was more than what I had anticipated. But what surprised me the most was the generosity of the people. And when I came back, so I was talking to a friend. He was a very close friend of mine in office, and I was telling him this is what has happened with me. So before that, I used to write a diary for myself, but I would never publish that diary. It was for my own consumption. So he told me, Archana, what has happened to you could happen to anyone, you should publish this thing, because, it will actually tell the people that if something bad happens, then how should you be prepared for it. So I said, okay. So before that, I thought I can't write to save my life. I thought I could only make presentations for my client. I could only write
Mm-hmm.
reports and all that. I never thought like I could get into creative writing. But then I made a series of blog posts which was about 11 days in Ladakh and 11 faces of beauty, in which I kind of compared one face of the place and the other face was of the people. And a lot of people read that, and I started getting a lot of messages. It kind of became a mini viral thing, where people really loved it, and rest, as they say, is history. So this was the one big moment. The other big moment which happened was I was working for Coca-Cola in Philippines in 2016. I was like, by this time, I was doing my day job as well as my writing and traveling I was doing over the weekends. I had not thought that, this could become like a full-time career for me. I was just doing it because I was enjoying it. So there was this conference called Travel Bloggers Exchange Conference, which actually started from US, and every year they have a conference in US. It is the largest conference for content creators in the travel field. Luckily, in 2016, October 2016, it was being organized in Philippines. Since I was already there, I thought, why not I attend this conference? And I went there, and it was there that my whole perspective changed. I saw that people are actually making a living out of travel. People are being paid to travel to these places, create content. So it just took me like this thing happened in October, the conference, and by February I had put in my papers. So yeah, and rest, as they say, is history. There has been no looking back.
Wow. So when you were younger, did you ever think that you would be doing this today? Like, what did you originally think you'd be doing with your life?
That's really funny, because when I was growing up, I wanted to be everything. So, someday I would wake up thinking, hey, I'm going to be a doctor today. And then I would say, no, mama, I'm going to be an engineer. And then it will change. I want to be a pilot. No, no, no. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a judo karate professional. So it changed every day. So I had not thought about it even in my wildest dream, not even until in the 21st century, the beginning of 21st century, I had not thought what I'm doing today. So life is unpredictable. I would say.
Yes, life is totally unpredictable. And sometimes you just have to go with the flow. And how long have you been doing this now? How many years has it been?
So I started in 2014,
Okay.
but full time I've been doing it since March 2017. Like in March
Okay.
2017, I gave up my corporate career,
Yeah.
and since then I've been doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So why do you keep doing it? Why do you do it today still?
Okay, I would like to narrate a story for this. Uh, yeah, I'm a storyteller, so stories come naturally to me.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So, there was this German physiologist called Frederick Goltz. So he was this crazy kind of physiologist who would do different kind of experiments. So one day he had this wacky idea. So what he did was he removed the brains of a frog, put him in a slowly heating pan of water, and he let simmer it, and he left an easy escape route for the frog to jump out whenever he would feel hot. But guess what? The frog never jumped out of the pan. In fact, it got charred to death. Do you know why that happened?
No, tell me why.
Yeah, not because its brains were removed. In fact, later on, the same experiment was done by a lot of other physiologists and a lot of other scientists to figure out that was it the brain? Because what happens is we have this reflex moments, right? You say like when something hot touches you, you jump out of it, right? So
Mhm.
in this case, what has happened? It wasn't the brain which was stopping him to get out of it, but what was happening is the frog, like humans, it got habituated to the comfort zone, right? And it
Mm.
could imagine like there could be any other life. Similarly, what happens with us is when we finish our schooling, college, we get into a job and we get so comfortable with that job, getting a paycheck that we don't want to leave that, right?
Yeah.
But so in 2014, when I started this by fluke, as I would say, at that time only I was already revisiting my decisions. Like, was I happy in the career that I had made? I was reevaluating all my choices. And at that time, I started actively looking for the big idea for my boom, as they call it, becoming one's own boss phase. I was
Mm.
thinking, like, what is it, that I can do, which not only becomes my second career, rather which is more gratifying career, which matches my passion also. A passion, and my passion was basically discovering untold human stories. And travel was my tool to uncover those stories. So I think it was this unflinching desire to do something which I'm passionate about and be useful for the people. Because thankfully, what had happened is till 2016-17, I had finished all my mortgage, so there were no liabilities on my head. I wasn't married, so I didn't have a husband to go back to. My family was extremely supportive. I had a great career. I had some bit of savings in my bank. So I didn't have any kind of fear, like, and I was ready to jump out of my comfort zone. And I wanted to do something which wasn't gratifying just for myself, but which could be of value to other people. So, you asked me the question, why do you do the work that you do? So, one was definitely that I wanted to follow my passion, be useful to the society at large. So then, when I was thinking what I'm going to do, so I decided what is it that I want to share. So then the idea came up with is that I want to share the untold human stories from offbeat places.
I love that. I love the heart that you have behind the work that you're doing. I think it's so important that every business you create, and this is just my opinion, I know there are a lot of people who may like sell socks and they're like, that's their thing and that's okay. And they fulfill their passion in some other way. But for me and for a lot of the women in our community, our businesses represent something so much more, so much deeper, so much more powerful, and it's deeply connected to our calling and to the mark that we feel we were meant to make in this world. And so I love that what you're doing really does represent what you feel like you were made for and issues that are really important to you in the world. And so you mentioned that you are actually working full time in this. So this is your main thing. And I'm wondering, when you made that transition from like this kind of being a side hustle, blogging and creating content and traveling and sharing these travel stories with the world, like what hurdles did you experience when you transitioned into making it a full time business?
See, first of all, it was coming out of my fear. Like the mind. Mind was the one which was trying to stop me. It was somewhere troubling me for a while. That is it okay to start from the scratch? So once that was cleared, once that hurdle was clear, the rest was easier. So the rest were like, first of all, in this field, you need to upskill yourself 24 by 7. So I need to be a pro in SEO management. I need to be a pro in photography. I need to be a pro in finances. I need to be my new business development manager. I need to be my marketer. So you just don't need to be a jack of all trades. Rather, you need to master all the trades. So you have to be on your toes. So one is that hurdle, which is never going to go out. And I love it also. Other is that it's a financial adventure, I would say that, because at times you would be earning like 5,000, 10,000 a month, like US dollars, and sometimes you wouldn't even earn like 500 US dollar. Take for example now, like all my earnings have kind of evaporated. There's nothing because of coronavirus. So
Right.
financial adventure is the third hurdle that you have to always keep in mind. Fourth is, I would say, stability, because of I am earning, when I'm creating content, when I'm visiting new places. So I really have to fight all the time with my, like, I don't have a stable financial, I would say, then my family and my friends, I can't have a relationship unless and until I meet a digital nomad who shares the same passion I do. And the fifth, which I'm not sure how it would be relevant for the American market, but for the Indian market and for the Asian market, it's very relevant because I started doing something which was kind of a non-existent. And even today,
Yeah.
clients don't realize that we put in a lot of hard work. So they
Yeah.
would say, okay, let's do a barter deal. I mean, really? I can't pay my bills by a barter deal. So
Right.
convincing them, first of all, that how an actual content creator who has a real influence is better than somebody who would have bought followers, and why they should pay me. That
Mm.
is something that I have to fight each and every day. So I would say these five things. One was, getting over my own mind hurdle, upskilling myself every single day, managing my finances, letting go of the stability of life, and convincing the clients in the market in the emerging markets. I would say these five are the biggest hurdles that I face day in and out.
Well, I do have to say you're doing a phenomenal job at doing that, Archana. And I don't want to box you in because even though you live in India, you have seen all of these beautiful places and written stories about all of the places around the world. But I do want to just focus on your home place. Where do you go? What do we see? Let's share the goods.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, see, India is as diverse and huge, I would say, as the US is. Like in US, Southwest is so different from East Coast or West Coast. Similarly, India is very, very different. So when you visit India, you have to pick a region. What is it that you want to see? So
Yeah.
right from deserts to jungle safaris to, like the mountains to beaches to temples to spirituality to yoga, there's a lot that you can see in India. But if it is your first trip, then there are few things that you have to do. Definitely you have to see Taj Mahal, right? Your
Yeah.
trip to India is incomplete if you don't see the Taj Mahal, right?
Yes. And
So
where is that? Because you are maybe talking to people who have never even heard of the Taj Mahal. But so where is
right. So
Mhm.
so Taj Mahal is actually very close to Delhi, where I stay. Delhi is the capital. New Delhi is the capital of India, and this is just 2.5 hours away from Delhi. If you would recall, I'm not sure whether you remember or not, when Trump and his family came, they went to Agra, Taj
Mhm.
Mahal. It's one of the seven wonders of the world. It's definitely a must see spot. That is one thing that you should see. Then other thing is near Delhi there is Jaipur. Jaipur or Rajasthan, I would say. India is famous for the royalty, for the big palaces, for the opulent living. So
Yeah.
that glamour, that richness, so that you can't see anywhere else, and the cultural, the heritage, and all that. So Rajasthan is wonderful for that. It is an area full of colors, full of music, full of sounds, full of amazing food for all kind of senses, so Rajasthan is one place that you should definitely visit. You will have a blast there. The kind of colors that you're going to see, the food that you will eat, the people that you'll meet, they are just going to win your heart. And the best time to come to Rajasthan would be winters, because summers gets too hot. Winter is like your summer, so it would be pretty good here. I said Delhi, definitely do Delhi, definitely do Agra, definitely do Jaipur. And then if you have time and if you like mountains, Himalayas are the biggest mountains in the world, right? The tallest mountains. You must visit Himalayas, and they are up in the north. They start from north to they go to the east. So Ladakh is one place. It's called the coldest desert in the world. It looks out of the world. It's like Mars. It's amazing. It's amazing. See, one thing is, when people come, and that's not true just for India, for any country, when you visit a new place, you should try and become a part of the culture of that place rather than, imposing your cultural values. It's always beneficial to become a part. So, for example, India is, I won't say, like, it's not as modern or as upfront as, say, the Western world would be. So I would say that when you are going to, say, spiritual places or the religious places, take care of the cultural nuances of the places. For example, if you're going to a temple, dress appropriately. Like when you go to Rome, they say that you should cover your knees and your arms. Similarly, when you come to India, don't wear shorts or don't go in those kind of clothes, especially when you're going to a temple. Just
Yeah.
be dressed as per the place. Try and speak, if you can, little bit of, if you can learn little words, the local words like a namaste, that kind of small words. It really helps, and Indians really love it. Okay, couple of things which you should take care is, you know, Indians, or rather, I would say all Asians, we have a thing for the Westerners. So everybody would want to get a selfie with you. So have some patience when people come to you. So initially what happens, all my friends complain, that they would be okay to give as many selfies as they would be asked, but later on they said, so it's okay to politely refuse. You are not a prop that you're gonna say, and people understand that also. Other thing is that, when you spoke about the bed, so usually India has got huge beds, so that's not a problem. And luxury in India and Asia is really luxurious, so it's not a problem at all. So you will have your butler, you will have other things, so don't have to worry about that. And they're comparatively very cheap if you compare it with US or Europe. Luxury here is very cheap. People go out of their way to make you feel comfortable. Be little cautious about the scams. Scams can happen everywhere. Like, I have been scammed in Europe, I've been scammed in Asia. Just don't flaunt your money, your gadgets, and don't just believe too easily on strangers.
Yeah.
And always let your folks know where you are staying. And when you book a hotel or when you book a travel agent, do a little bit of research. Always consult with the locals. Like, when I visit any country, I actually listen to the locals, but the friends which I know from before, not just any random stranger. That I would say, experiment with the food, because when you are not going to get that authentic taste back in US. So dress up in saris, wear bangles, have henna, buy as much clothes as you can, support the local community, be a part of the Indian culture. And
Yeah.
one thing I missed is, which I think a New Yorker or anybody in the US should keep in mind. We have this IST, which we call Indian Standard Time. So we are mostly never on time. So when somebody gives you, they'll say they will be there at 9 o'clock. Be
Yes.
rest assured they'll be there by 9:30 or 10. So they're always
Yes.
late. I'm not proud of this, but that's what happens. I try to be on time all the time, but most
Yeah.
people are not. We call it Indian stretchable time.
Okay. Indian stretchable time, which is roughly a half an hour later, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
On a safer side, on a safer side.
Listen, it's the same thing in a lot of Caribbean cultures too. So there is no judgment there. And I think, that's just the way that it is. If you say the party starts at 3, you really mean it starts at 4:30. So don't show up at 3 o'clock. Don't be that person.
Oh
I'm with
God,
you.
we
I'm
have
with
so
you.
much in common.
So before we get into if you could give your younger self any piece of advice, I do have to say Indian food is my favorite cuisine, oddly enough. So I come from a very mixed background, but a part of my family is from the Caribbean islands. And in the Caribbean, there is like the cuisine is a mix between Indian food and African food. And so,
Mhm.
and some European food as well. So it really is blended. But I grew up eating, roti bread and curry chicken, and that was just how we ate. And so I'm just wondering, what is your favorite Indian dish that you think our listeners should try if they're coming to visit India?
Okay, that's a very difficult question.
I know.
Actually, there are a lot of things, which it depends what kind of food you like. For example, northern food, which most people think is curry. So in India, like butter chicken is something that you should definitely try. The butter chicken that you get in India is something you are not gonna get anywhere else. Anything to do with that? Then I personally like a lot. It's called saag and makki ki roti, which is basically something to do with the greens. It only comes in winters because that time that plant grows. And makki ki roti is cornbread. So that is very, very unique. The taste you can only get in those 2 months. So that you should definitely try, like northern food. Then the chaat. Chaat is our snacks. They are amazing. Like they are little spicy, but they clear your system completely. They are must have. And if you like little not too spicy food, then I would say the South Indian food in which your idli, dosa, sambar, they are pretty good. So there are different cuisines. Like in West, there is dhokla, but I would say definitely try butter chicken or palak paneer. Definitely try idli, dosa, dhokla. Yeah, these things you should definitely. And rasgulla. Rasgulla is our sweet dish, or jalebi.
Yes. Did you say rasmalai? I know I say it
Oh
wrong.
yeah, rasmalai, definitely.
Okay, okay. I love rasmalai. It's like a sweet, almost I don't know how they make it actually, but it's a milky kind of
Yeah,
sweet
yeah.
dessert and it is absolutely delicious. So, thank you so much, Archana, for all of these beautiful tips. If you could look back and give your younger self any piece of advice, what would it be?
If I were to look back, although I don't have any regrets, but the advice I would give to myself would be two things. First is be fearless. Don't be scared about anything. Growth happens outside of comfort zones. So be ready to take as many risks as possible, as early as possible. And second, which is very, very important, have as less liabilities as possible. Don't take mortgage. That is the biggest thing that stops you from taking a risk.
Mm,
So don't spend your life in fear and in mortgage. Don't
mm,
spend on food, clothes, etc. Invest in yourself and in experiences. I would
mm.
give that advice to myself.
Beautiful, beautiful. How can our audience find and support you?
Okay, that's wonderful. Thanks a lot. This is the section I've been waiting forever. So I got it. So basically, they can find me if they search travel, see, write. Travel, TRAVEL, see as in to watch, to see, not the sea where you go to swim, right? Travel See Right, WRITE. So if they search for Travel See Right anywhere, whether it is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, they'll find me. My website is there, Travel See Right. My channel is there, YouTube channel. Everywhere they can find me by just looking up for Travel See Right.
Beautiful. Archana, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for brightening the show and brightening our day. And I cannot wait to hopefully have you back on.
Oh, it's completely my pleasure. But before you invite me again, you have to come to India.
You're going to hold me to that. So that means I better start planning because I want to have you back. So I'll start working on that.
Absolutely. You should. Let this Corona thing get out of our way and then you're coming to India.
Okay. Thank you, Archana. We'll talk soon then.
Take care. Have a wonderful day. And once again, thanks a lot for having me over.
Of course. Well, there you have it. Thanks so much for listening to the show today. And as always, for more resources as you continue to live out your beautiful mission of healing the world and grow your beautiful business, you can head to www.shehealstheworld.com/freebie to see what new resources I have in store for you. Thanks for listening. Tell a friend, and I can't wait to see you at the next episode.